It came from the deep silence between the stars, a wanderer with no home, no sun, and no name. The interstellar object we called 3I divided by Atlas had once vanished behind the sun, lost to light and heat, but now it was back. And it was no longer the same. Astronomers around the world stared in disbelief as the faint green point of light began to glow, shimmering like a pulse in the darkness. For a brief instant, the sky seemed alive. Then, without warning, the night exploded. A brilliant flash ripped across telescopes from Chile to Japan, an eruption so bright it outshone entire constellations for 6 full minutes. Every major observatory recorded it, a sudden 4-fold increase in luminosity. The James Webb Space Telescope confirmed it first. This was not an ordinary outburst. No comet, no asteroid, no natural explosion matched its profile. Something impossible had just happened. Across the planet, scientists scrambled to understand. Within hours, data networks were overwhelmed. Satellites pivoted their sensors. Mars orbiters were reprogrammed mid-flight to monitor the anomaly. Radio dishes pointed skyward, tracking the coordinates of 3I divided by Atlas, as if it were speaking in light. But after the flare faded, silence fell, a silence so complete it felt deliberate. In a small town in northern Germany, under a sky untouched by city light, amateur astronomer Maria Schultz had been observing the faint dot through her 12-inch telescope. What she saw defied everything she knew. On her laptop screen, the light curve spiked vertically, not a gradual rise, but a sharp, clean line, a perfect pulse. She recalibrated, checked humidity, temperature, instrument drift, everything was perfect. The jump lasted 6 minutes, exactly. Then the object faded. Hours later, the same pulse appeared in data from Brazil, New Zealand, and Arizona. Independent observers, using different instruments, all recorded the same 6-minute burst at the same universal time. No one could deny it anymore. This was real. It was as if something in deep space had decided to announce itself. The hashtag began trending. Number Atlas Anomaly. By morning, university observatories joined the analysis. The Skywatch Collective, a global citizen science group, cross-verified the data. No instrumental error, no cosmic ray interference, no atmospheric distortion. Every reading aligned perfectly. The phenomenon was authentic and unprecedented. Scientists compared it to past cometary outbursts. The closest match, Comet 17P divided by Holmes in 2007, had taken 2 full days to reach similar brightness. But 3I divided by Atlas had done it in minutes, a violation of physics, a mystery that shouldn't exist. Some astronomers whispered, it might be the biggest cosmic discovery since Oumuamua. Others refused to speak at all. For days, the world was united in wonder. Observatories everywhere turned toward a single point in the constellation Virgo. Data streams poured in high-resolution images, infrared spectra, radar reflections. The International Astronomical Union declared an emergency session. Within 12 hours, 11 nations signed a joint observation pact. The United States, China, Europe, Japan, and India shared live telemetry for the first time in history. Humanity was watching together. Infrared readings revealed that the object was unusually cold. Too cold to be an active comet, too warm to be inert metal. Radio arrays in South Africa detected faint, rhythmic pulses at 3-minute intervals, a pattern that looked eerily structured. The signals appeared precisely when the object reached peak brightness, then vanished with the light. Theories spread faster than the data. Some said it was an electromagnetic resonance between the solar wind and the object's ionized surface. Others whispered that something or someone had just answered us. For 48 hours, science felt like unity. There were no rival agencies, no competing missions. Humanity had turned all its eyes toward a single visitor from another star. Then, abruptly, the feeds went dark. Public dashboards were locked. Data channels went offline. Observatory live streams that had run continuously for 2 days suddenly displayed maintenance messages. Forums where experts once argued were empty. Astronomers who had appeared on television the night before refused to comment. Social media accounts vanished overnight. Behind the silence, rumors began. A leak from within the European Space Agency hinted that 3I divided by Atlas had exhibited non-gravitational acceleration 4 times stronger than predicted. Thermal data showed its infrared emissions rising by 30 Kelvin. Gamma ray bursts aligned perfectly with its trajectory, forming a pattern, a triocular map. Yet, instead of releasing the information, every space agency locked down their servers. In Chile, one researcher left a final encrypted message. They told us to stop looking. Then, more whispers of phrase repeated across internal memos. Containment protocol. No one knew what it meant, but it spread like wildfire through encrypted chats and scientific back channels. Reports of censorship grew. Independent data archives disappeared overnight. Journalists trying to contact researchers were met with silence or deletion notices, and yet, through ordinary binoculars, amateur astronomers could still see it. The object was there, silent, cold, but moving. Its orbit shifted slightly each night, as if adjusting to something unseen. A sense of dread began to spread. The bright, hopeful light that had united humanity now hung over the world like a question no one dared answer. What could have silenced the most open scientific community on Earth? Then, a new leak. A set of hidden frames from the James Webb Space Telescope appeared briefly on a secured astronomy forum before being erased, but a handful of users downloaded them. The images showed something extraordinary, a second object. 75 miles from 3I divided by Atlas, a smaller companion traveled in perfect formation. Dimmer, cooler, barely visible. At first, scientists assumed it was debris, a fragment ejected during the flare. But over time, it didn't drift. It didn't wobble. It held its distance with absolute precision. 2 bodies, locked in an invisible dance, moving through interstellar space with synchronization so exact it could not be random. The smaller object absorbed almost all light. Its surface was dark, energy absorbing, and eerily uniform. Then came another surprise: faint microwave radiation, steady and low, as though the object was cooling itself. Self-regulation, an act no comet or meteor had ever displayed. The discovery sent quiet panic through the scientific community. In leaked memos, the pair was reclassified under a new name, 3I divided by Atlas complex. The word complex implied a system not chaos, but purpose. Engineers compared the formation to an artificial satellite constellation. Some theorized the smaller body was guiding the larger, fine-tuning its trajectory. And then, the first whispers of an even more impossible idea emerged. What if 3I divided by Atlas wasn't a comet at all? What if it was a moving structure, an interstellar device capable of stabilizing itself through energy feedback? Some said the companion was its power source. Others called it a probe, an observer, studying humanity's reaction. But none could explain how 2 foreign objects, millions of kilometers apart, could move as one. Every dataset, infrared, radio, visual, converged on a single terrifying word: design. For a few fleeting hours, the scientific world stood at the edge of revelation. The leaked James Webb images had spread quietly across encrypted channels before vanishing into the void of deletion. But once something is seen, it cannot be unseen. The sharper the images were enhanced, the more impossible they became to dismiss. Edges too straight, angles too perfect, shadows cast by shapes that looked engineered, not eroded. The surface of 3, I divided by Atlas, was not jagged or amorphous like an asteroid. It was patterned, lined, and seemingly constructed. Those who saw the images described the same unsettling geometry, hexagonal segments, parallel lines running the length of its body, and luminous points at exact mathematical intervals. Within hours, researchers began drawing comparisons to the architecture of spacecraft, to heat dissipation panels, to adaptive materials designed to regulate internal energy. None of it fit natural formation models. None of it fit anything we knew. At midnight, a single high-resolution frame escaped deletion, a crisp reflection of sunlight along a perfect contour. Someone saved it, mirrored it across networks, and it became the forbidden image proof that the universe had just changed the rules. To some, it was an artifact of data compression. To others, it was the first glimpse of alien engineering. As debate erupted, another discovery silenced it completely. Radio observatories in China and South Africa detected a narrowband transmission cutting through background noise, a radio beam coming directly from the coordinates of 3I divided by Atlas. It lasted precisely 12 seconds. The signal was pure, clean, and deliberate. It wasn't scattered by cosmic interference or stretched by distance. Its waveform repeated with perfect precision, every cycle forming identical peaks. The frequency, the 1,420 megahertz line of neutral hydrogen, the universal calling card of intelligent communication. For decades, humanity had used that same frequency to broadcast into space, hoping someone would recognize it. Now, something had answered. Within seconds, radio facilities across 3 continents confirmed the detection. China's FAST, Australia's Parkes, and South Africa's SKA reported identical readings. The beam was narrow, collimated as if it had been aimed with intention. It aligned exactly with Earth's orbital plane, the ecliptic. Whoever sent it knew where we were. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, analysts converted the raw signal into visual form. What emerged stunned the team. The waveform, when plotted in 2 dimensions, revealed 6 perfect hexagons surrounding a dark void at the center. The same geometry seen in the leaked James Webb images. It was as if the transmission was showing us a picture, a coded reflection of the sender's own structure. Avi Loeb at Harvard was among the first to comment unofficially. "If this is real," he said, "it's not just communication, it's calibration." His words spread like wildfire across private academic channels before the entire thread was removed. Governments moved fast. Public feeds from all observatories went offline. Press statements called it a temporary calibration error. The 12-second event was dismissed as interference, but those who had seen the unfiltered data knew better. There was structure, intent, intelligence. Hours later, Earth itself seemed to respond. Magnetometers across Europe, Asia, and North America recorded a sudden oscillation in the planet's magnetic field, lasting exactly 12 seconds. It mirrored the signal's duration perfectly. The Schumann resonance, the natural frequency of the atmosphere, shifted by 0.02 hertz, then returned to normal. Coincidence was the official explanation. But to those who watched the graphs, it was clear. The Earth had echoed back. A classified document from the International Asteroid Warning Network confirmed what insiders already suspected. Codenamed Project Helios, the report described a low-frequency electromagnetic resonance triggered by the incoming beam. For the first time, an external signal had synchronized with the planet's magnetic field. What no one expected came next. Thousands of radar installations, communication towers, and satellites emitted faint electromagnetic pulses at the exact same time as if the planet itself had replied. Weak echoes bounced into space, converging on the same coordinates where 3I divided by Atlas drifted. It was unintentional, accidental. But the rhythm was unmistakable, the same 247-second interval that had been recorded months earlier from the object's own emissions. The same heartbeat now in our sky. For a brief moment, Earth and an interstellar visitor vibrated together, sharing a single frequency. And then, everything stopped. The signal ceased. The oscillations vanished. The object dimmed. Silence returned, but this time it felt heavy, as if something was waiting. Inside research archives, scientists compared the before and after data. They noticed a subtle change. The object's heat signature, previously random, now pulsed in measured cycles. The same 247 seconds again and again. It was as if 3I divided by Atlas had tuned itself not to the sun, not to Mars, but to us. Infrared imagery revealed more details. Beneath its icy glow, geometric engravings shimmered straight lines, rectangular panels, grooves that reflected light in intentional ways. The surface temperature rose and fell in waves, like an internal mechanism regulating power. The smaller companion object followed every fluctuation, mirroring it in sync. Professor Abel from the Galileo Project at Harvard proposed a bold idea. "This isn't communication," he said quietly in a closed meeting. "It's synchronization." According to his hypothesis, 3I divided by Atlas was tuning its internal energy to match the gravitational and magnetic resonances of the solar system, aligning itself with planetary frequencies like an instrument before a concert. The 12-second signal was just the opening note. Across agencies, the phrase synchronization event appeared in classified documents. Analysts debated its meaning. Some said it was harmless, a resonance test. Others feared it was a prelude, a first stage of activation. Unedited diagrams from infrared data reveal something even more disturbing. Within the object's shell, layered rings of energy seemed to rotate independently. The motion was too precise for randomness. It was controlled, automated, purposeful. Then, one by one, the world's telescopes lost contact. The object faded beyond Mars's orbit, slipping into darkness. The twin companion dimmed to invisibility. For most of the public, the story was over, just another cosmic mystery filed under speculation. But inside sealed databases, scientists kept studying the patterns. The 247-second rhythm had not stopped. It had migrated. Small background fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field continued in perfect alignment with that same period. The signal was gone, but the echo remained. In private conversations, researchers whispered that the connection was still alive, not gone, just paused. What terrified them wasn't what had happened, but what might come next. If 3I divided by Atlas had synchronized once, it could synchronize again. And next time, it might not be passive. Weeks passed. The object's trajectory drifted further away. Its glow faded, leaving only silence. Official reports labeled the data inconclusive, but the internal briefings said otherwise. Autonomous adjustment mechanisms detected, thermal cycles consistent with artificial regulation, potential system activation pending next solar alignment. And then, in the final archive transmission before contact was lost, one last set of numbers appeared. Frequency 1,420 megahertzes. Cycle, 247 seconds. Status, awaiting response. Earth had become part of something it didn't understand. By December, the object had grown faint, nearly invisible, through even the most powerful telescopes, but its legacy remained. Every night, observatories still tracked its predicted path, hoping for another burst, another signal, anything. Yet the sky was silent. The 6-minute flare, the 12-second transmission, the synchronized heartbeat, all gone. Still, the data wouldn't rest. In the background of every radio spectrum, analysts found a faint hum, a residue of resonance that refused to fade. Behind closed doors, the agencies that had once sworn secrecy began to fracture. Leaked internal memos suggested disagreement over what to do next. Some scientists believed 3I divided by Atlas was harmless, a drifting relic tuning itself to the fabric of the solar system. Others insisted it was deliberate, a mechanism designed to test, observe, and perhaps awaken. The phrase phase alignment event appeared in several documents before disappearing entirely. At NASA, deep space radar operators noticed a subtle but measurable shift in the object's orbit. It was no longer following its calculated hyperbolic escape path. Instead, it had curved slightly imperceptibly at first toward the inner system. Not enough for alarm, but enough to defy gravitational modeling. It was as though something had adjusted it from within. Every agency denied the change. Press releases were identical, word for word, in 3 languages. The object remains on a stable trajectory, leaving the solar system. But amateur astronomers knew better. By triangulating nightly observations, they could see it. A slow, methodical correction bending toward Earth's orbital plane. Speculation turned feverish. Was it preparing for another transmission? Or was it simply aligning itself for observation? Some believed it was responding to the electromagnetic echoes Earth had sent by accident. Others thought it was calibrating, drawing energy from solar radiation, waiting for the right moment to act. And then came the heat. Infrared telescopes registered a sudden, steady rise, small at first, then undeniable. The object, previously cooling, began to warm from within. Not from sunlight, but from internal activity. The smaller companion glowed faintly once more, following in perfect synchrony, as though absorbing and redistributing the heat. The pair pulsed together like a binary heart. At Harvard, a group of physicists working under the Galileo project submitted an unpublished paper to a classified database. The title was simple: Resonant Activation Hypothesis. According to their model, 3I divided by Atlas had not just synchronized with the planets, it had linked itself into the system's electromagnetic architecture. The 12-second broadcast wasn't communication, it was initiation. Under this theory, each resonance Earth's field, Mars's orbit, Jupiter's magnetosphere was part of a chain, a network of frequencies across the solar system. 3I divided by Atlas wasn't a visitor. It was a seed, anchoring itself through synchronization until it became part of the system itself. Within weeks, global monitoring networks began reporting unexplained oscillations. Long-range radio arrays picked up weak, repeating signals every 247 seconds, matching the pattern found in the earlier data. They came not from a single source, but from multiple orbital points, as if the rhythm had spread through space itself. In March, the object crossed Jupiter's orbit. For a moment, it was briefly visible again, glinting faintly against the planet's glare. Then, a final flash short, brilliant, silent, and it vanished behind the gas giant's magnetic field. Some claimed it was still there, hidden, waiting. Others believed it had already left. But deep sensors on the Juno spacecraft recorded something unprecedented. A localized distortion in Jupiter's magnetosphere, a pulse timed exactly to the 247-second cycle. After that, the official data stream ended. Public access was cut off entirely. The project was moved into classified control under a new code name, Helios Continuum. When questioned, agencies denied its existence. But one internal report, leaked weeks later, described a continuing synchronization event affecting multiple planetary fields. The same report concluded with a single cryptic sentence: "The system is now aware." From that moment on, everything changed. Power grids around the world experienced minor but synchronized fluctuations. Geomagnetic stations recorded faint, rhythmic spikes that mirrored the Atlas cycle. Birds, migratory patterns, even compass readings showed minute deviations, all aligned with the same timing. Most dismissed it as coincidence. Those who had seen the original data knew better. In independent labs, physicists reconstructed the 12-second transmission and fed it into quantum simulation models. The waveform produced fractal patterns that resembled orbital maps, a repeating hexagonal lattice expanding outward from a central void. Each iteration matched the positions of the planets at that exact moment. The conclusion was terrifying. The signal had encoded the solar system itself as if the object were mapping or reconfiguring it. By April, whispers of a new signal began to circulate. Low-frequency detectors in Antarctica picked up anomalies, fluctuations too regular to be noise. But no confirmation ever came. The silence stretched on. 3I divided by Atlas was gone, drifting beyond Mars, beyond sight, beyond certainty. Yet the resonance continued, echoing invisibly through magnetic lines and atmospheric hums. Some scientists began calling it the hum of Atlas. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, all mention of the phenomenon vanished. The data servers were scrubbed. Websites retracted their reports. Observatories received new operating directives under non-disclosure clauses. Whatever Atlas had done, it was done. Still, among amateur observers, story persisted. A few claimed to have recorded faint flickers near the sun's limb during solar conjunction, tiny reflections appearing exactly every 247 seconds, too rhythmic to be coincidence. Others insisted that shortwave radios still caught phantom bursts near the hydrogen line, whispers in the static repeating like an echo of the 12-second message. The official narrative declared closure, but deep within the scientific underground, no one believed it. They knew that the pattern was still alive, encoded in the background of space itself. And so the question lingered unanswered, immense and quietly terrifying. Had we just witnessed the universe awakening? Or had something older, patient, and deliberate finally turned its gaze upon us? As the final data packets from Mars orbiters reached Earth, one line of telemetry stood out. A single repeating pulse buried in the noise. Its timestamp aligned perfectly with the original signal from months before. The system was still beating. The closing frame of the last leaked transmission displayed a final message embedded in the carrier frequency, translated through mathematical substitution. It contained only 4 words: Sequence 1 complete, await synchronization, and then silence deep, eternal, unbroken. Humanity had looked into the dark and found a mirror staring back. 3, I divided by Atlas, had come and gone, leaving behind a rhythm that echoed through the planets, through our instruments, through us. Whether it was a message, a mechanism, or a living consciousness disguised as a rock, no one could say. All that remained was the pulse, steady, patient, waiting. Somewhere beyond the orbit of Mars, In the black gulf between Jupiter and the stars, a cold, silent object drifted onward, listening for the next note in a symphony we could not yet hear.